Hey friends, welcome back. Today we're going to get to try out all these fancy tools we made here in the shop because we have to replace a big end bearing and connecting rod on a crankshaft. Stay tuned. Well, today's video is a long time coming. We built these couple of these tools a while back for balancing or truing our crankshaft and made a press plate for pulling them apart. And then just recently we made a alignment jig for putting it back together. Well, now we get to put all these tools to practical use. I've got a RM125 project that I'm working on, two-stroker, and she's got a bad big end bearing. So today what we're going to be doing is pressing that crankshaft apart. I've got a Pro X connecting rod and bearing kit that we're going to be installing. Now keep in mind, don't take anything I say as word of law. I've never done this before, so it's going to be a learning procedure for me. However, I've watched enough YouTube videos to feel like I've got the general gist on how to do this. So without further ado, let's jump right in and start getting this thing going. That definitely no good. So this kit comes with our small end bearing, our new connecting rod. We got a pin, 2 thrust washers, and our big end bearing, which is now in pieces. Well, like I said, I've never done this before. I've never done one of these before. So this big end bearing just like kind of fell all apart. I'm not sure if it's supposed to do that, but it did it. So we have to just be careful, make sure all the pins are there and it's back together. Well, I think first things first, let's get this crankshaft in the press and get it apart. That thing is welded on there. That's certainly what you call a press fit. She definitely got a little bit warm. Let's go press one side of our pin in. Oof. I think I'm going to use my alignment jig instead of bending this plate. And that feels like it's bottomed out. And I did take notice when before I took this apart, that this pin lined up with the outer part of this web. So we're in good shape there. Let's go get this bearing built. Back over to the bench. So these needle bearings can't be installed from the outside. They have to be installed from the inside. Problem is, as you put them in, they're going to fall out. So I think what I have to do is put some grease in there to hold them in place. Well, we were able to get them all back in, none missing. We'll get a little 2-stroke oil on our thrust washers. All right, let's get this set up in our alignment jig and get it pressed back together. So as you can see, this fits this crankshaft in here tightly. It can rotate, but it cannot move side to side. So now we take our top web, same thing, it has to fit. We just line the pin up. Now we just need to press these together, and our crankshaft web should be pretty close. Save us a little bit of time on doing the final truing. that works stellar. Now, as far as measurements go, the 1996 to 2000 model RM125, in the service manual, there's no specification on side-to-side play on the connecting rod. I do not have a 2001 to 2002 manual, but the 2003 manual does specify they want 1 millimeter of clearance, I want to say, between the thrust bearing and the connecting rod itself. However, since there's no specification in the 98, and these pins line right up with the outside of the web just like they did when I took it apart, I'm going to assume that there's no issue with side-to-side clearance on these, and there's plenty of clearance. So we're going to just go ahead and go with that. We have no more up and down play, which is fantastic. All we need to do now is get this thing in our truing jig and see if we need to do any final adjustments to it. So you definitely see there's a little bit of end play right here. And it's definitely going to need to be fine-tuned. We want to make sure that these webs are true. One measurement that they do give you is the web width opposite of the connecting rod, and we're looking at 52.9 to 53.1 millimeters. We have 52.96, so we fall into that category perfectly. I was able to get this to within 5 thousandths. Honestly, they want 2 thousandths, and I just don't see it happening. I've gone back and forth, and that's as close as I can get this thing. The thing looks perfect, looks very true. I'm thinking that couple thousandths could technically just be rough spots in the metal causing that problem, because the needle's jumping around a little bit. Now, I learned a few things doing this. Smaller is better. So I was hitting this thing pretty hard at first, and I think I was going one direction to the next direction to the next direction. So little adjustments at a time, see if it's making a difference, and you can just hone it in that way. Well, with our web width measurement correct, I'm going to call this crankshaft good at this point. All the tools that I made to do this worked fantastically, and to be quite honest with you, this was a little bit tricky for me at first. I'm trying to wrap my head around, you know, if it's high on one spot, where do you hit it, and this and that. So to me, it was more like a trial and error thing. This being my first crankshaft rebuild, I know that it was going to take a little bit of extra time and taking care of what I'm doing. I've seen some guys like with basically no tools whatsoever, you know, a press, and they just beat these things apart and beat them together, and eyeball them, and I don't know if that works great or not, but they seem to knock it out very, very quickly. And it's probably just years of experience, of which I have zero. Well, I have one at this point here. So I think I will take on this project a little bit more often. It's a lot cheaper than buying a new crankshaft. That being said, if this one holds together and doesn't come through the side of the case, which I don't think it will. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. I'm certainly enjoying the stories you guys are telling me about the bikes you're picking up, and I like watching my subscriber count go up. I like to be able to help you guys with any kind of questions that you have. So as always, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully next episode I can get this RM together and you can see that whole episode. This bike was a little bit of a mess as well, and I want to try to make it crisp. So thanks for tuning in again, and have a great day.